And it took me moving to Los Angeles and seeing a much larger community and actually accidentally running into a community of trans people. And many of them were undocumented people from Central and South America who were fleeing persecution and violence and death from their homeland, but were living here in an undocumented fashion and making a living off the underground economy, whether that was drugs or prostitution, a combination of both. Very, very difficult lives, yet strangely better than what they were living south of the border. And it was in that environment that I began to transition. And because I saw people that were like-minded, people that would accept me exactly for who I was, not just the woman that I've become, but this before person, that male identity. They accepted that person too, and they accepted everything in between. And it was beautiful, and it was wonderful, and it was crazy. And it challenged me to the core because there were elements of that culture, of that community that I could not accept. Maybe it was the underground economy. I really didn't want to sell my body to make money. I didn't want to inject free silicone into my body, whether it was like industrial grade or medical grade. I didn't want to do the things to my body that I saw people doing around me all the time, and those things frightened me. I didn't know if I wanted surgery at the time. I just knew that I needed to be more comfortable in my own skin. There was a woman I befriended, and she had gone to college and had, as a male, and had a career and had transitioned, and it somehow ended up living in a rent-a-room-by-the-week kind of hotel, motel, doing sex work. And at some point I realized, well, you're actually a U.S. citizen. You were born here in Southern California. What are you doing? Well, I don't really feel like I can go get a job. I don't feel like I can have a life. This is the life I'm supposed to be living. I'm like, really? Do you really like doing sex work? Not really. I was like, well, why don't you come to school with me? Can I do that? It's like, yeah, you can register and enroll as a female in school and take any classes that you want and get financial aid and be whoever you're supposed to be. And you don't have to be this guy looking like a girl. You can be exactly who you are. You're already transitioned. And we graduated together. I had a 3-year program, she had a 2-year program, and we graduated together, which was so fantastic. She stopped doing sex work. She started doing DJing. She actually saw that she could have a real life. It was a challenge because trans people don't always fit into every community. She had trouble from time to time. But she had a much better life. She was able to find her way out of that. And I was so happy to see that. And this is years. This is 1997. This is, 10 years before I ever started working for Ingersoll. But it was just that idea that I may not be able to have any resources for most of the trans people I met in that community, but here's one person I could help. And it felt really good.
Did other people in your life know about these relationships that you were forming, or this community you were becoming a part of?
I had some friends that knew about what was going on in my life, but there were so many layers, and I was an onion, and no two people saw the same set of layers. No two people were able to see the same set of experiences. I remember one time wearing a bra to school, and I was in speech and debate class, and we'd been working, we'd been practicing, we'd been training, and I had sat down and relaxed, and a woman came up, one of the women, and she started giving me a back massage. And I remember when she first felt my bra strap and kind of stopped for a second and then continued on, and I was just like, oh my God, she knows I'm wearing a bra. And
you're presenting as male?
I was presenting as male.
Okay.
I was doing male Monday through Thursday, and I was actually had a job working as a female on the weekends. I was transitioning on the weekends. I was living essentially full-time on the weekends, so essentially part-time. I wasn't ready to come out of school yet. I was integrated into student government and into several different active social clubs. I mean, I was on campus 10 to 12 hours a day. I had a job on campus. So it felt like real life for me. And I felt like at some point the scales will tip and I'll just say, oh, I have to do this at school. But, and I guess I didn't start transitioning until after I was already in school and after everyone that I was going to meet had already met me. And transferring to a closer campus to where I lived didn't seem prudent at the time. So I felt kind of stuck. But then I stopped transitioning, and so it became moot at that point. When I moved home to Seattle in '99, I had initially thought maybe I could transition, and then realized I still don't have any money, and I still don't have any resources. I still didn't have the Ingersoll resource available to me, but mostly I didn't have any funding. I felt like I was living hand to mouth for so long, and it was a challenge to figure out what my next step was. I could still do what I call weekend warrior, which was have my life and work and live in this male role. But on the weekends, or when I go out on a Thursday night and go to some club, I can dress how I please. I can be the girl that I'm supposed to be. It was a very interesting blending of two lives at that time, but I still didn't feel like I could fully jump in and transition again. I think transsexuals feel like they've taken so many more steps with surgery, or they've altered their bodies in such a way as to really commit to one gender. And I've always enjoyed that umbrella term of transgender because I like the sense of community. I like the inclusiveness. I like the intersectionality of different kinds of ideologies when it comes to being trans. I had surgery scheduled for February of 2011 and went to Thailand, spent a month in Thailand, lost some weight, I felt really good. Came back and I just spent the next few months recovering and taking things slow and getting back on my feet. It's been an interesting journey. I've come to the realization that the idea of tucking, when you're pre-op or when you're transitioning, imagine taking all of and this actually applies. Because you could also say binding. Imagine taking breasts that are, really prominent and putting on a binder and squishing those away and binding those away and hiding who that is. Or if you're a guy and you're a trans woman and you got to tuck and I imagine taking all of your insecurities and all of the things that make up who you are that you need to tuck away or to stow away or to hide from society, and you're able to just kind of wrap that all up and bind it or tuck it away. For me, that disappeared after my surgery. There was physically and literally nothing left to tuck. And I felt vulnerable. I felt like this is who I am. This is me. This is the most me I'm ever going to be.